Today's sponsor is Audible.com, who has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word audio products. Get a free audiobook of your choice at www.audibletrial.com/Trending Topics with BB. Hello and welcome to another rousing edition of Trending Topics with BB. I am your humble host, Brooke Brown, hence the BB. Thank you for checking out the previous episodes, and if you have not checked out the previous episodes, where have you been? We're on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Mixcloud, SoundCloud, Podbean. Basically any platform where you can find a podcast, you can find this podcast. Speaking of, more housekeeping, if you are an iTunes user or a Stitcher user, please subscribe, give a nice favorable rating and comment. It helps the podcast move up a little bit. It gets my Small Potatoes podcast in the realm of the Big Potatoes podcasts out there. I appreciate those that are loyal listeners of my podcast. I'm got quite the following. By quite, I mean my Small Potatoes following, but it's still fun. And I'm actually, for the first time, Facebook Living this. I don't know how long this is going to last. Welcome aboard, all of you that are watching this live. I am going to do my best as I record both things at the same time. Oh, technology. Okay, and if you haven't logged on to the social media channels for this podcast, it's TT with BB on Twitter and Instagram, and then Trending Topics with BB on Facebook. All right. So, many people tend to like my soapbox episodes that I tend to produce. It's become quite the series on my podcast in between my episodes of interviewing guests that I find interesting. And if you have not listened to my podcast, well, you're going to have to go back and check them out. Some are longer than others. Bear with me. Some are different topics, from natural health to music, to being a producer on a TV show, to, well, you'll see. Check out that podcast of your choice, or all of the episodes. There are about 60-something up, so I'm getting there. Anyway, so as I was mentioning, this is a soapbox. So it's going to be uncensored. My opinion of the matter is dear to me, and I think it needs to be said because there seems to be a lot of talk about this as of late, and as a person who, is affected by said issue coming up, you will understand why the title of this episode is going to be, in parentheses, just get over it. And here's why. Yes, I'm sure you've heard the news by now that Linkin Park head singer Chester Bennington took his life. Tragic, 41, and that pretty much all, I've been listening to a lot of Linkin Park in the last few days, which tends to happen after somebody perishes. You either watch the work, listen to the work, so on and so forth. But a lot of his lyrics have been a cry for help. A lot of his recent interviews have been a cry for help, and yet, sadly enough, he took his own life. I want to first point out that those of us who suffer from any mental health issues, I don't care what it may be, what your condition is, I have suffered for years, pretty much my whole life, but recent years been treated for it, is depression and anxiety. Some people that have known me in different stages of life may have seen a difference in my moods and demeanor over the years and may attribute it to maturity. I personally attribute it recently to my medication, but due to the harmful qualities of these sort of medications, I'm looking to get off of that soon, but that's a whole nother podcast. So I can't just get over it. Here's why I fucking hate it when people say, just get over it. First of all, if we could, as a person, just fucking get over it, we would just get over it. It's one of these stigmas in our society, and I don't really think it's just a country, it's not a US thing. I think it's a world society stigma, mental health issues. And there's all these debates about what words to use, how to use them, how and which to get treatment. Everybody on social media these days is putting some of my, if you're a friend, you will copy and paste this suicide awareness hotline. Okay, it's not just simple as calling the hotline, talking to a perfectly new person, or just talking to your buddy. A lot of us who have issues, we shut down when it comes to letting our issues be known because of such issues. And there's a whole nother can of worms that could be talked about on this podcast in terms of calling a suicide hotline. By the way, back to Chester, great. Finally, Linkin Park today, their band members put out a statement and a letter to Chester. And if you haven't been on chester.linkinpark.com, it's a nice tribute to the man. But continuing, this is like a cycle because we saw Robin Williams die from such things and so on and so forth. So my point is, we can't fucking just get over it because there needs to be a real overhaul in understanding the stigma associated with mental health issues. With those people out there that are just going, hey, just get over it, or I got over my issue, you can do it too. It's not that fucking simple. I didn't know I had depression and anxiety my entire life until it reached a point in college and a little bit after I graduated college that landed me in the hospital in a psych ward before I realized I needed to get help. You're in your own head, and sometimes you have really positive thoughts like, oh, I'm fine. Sometimes you don't have any positive thoughts, which land you in the hospital. So we can't just fucking get over it. And the continuation of mental health issues, whether you're famous in show business or just an average person like myself, we can't. And really, I guess the point I wanted to get on my soapbox for this episode of the podcast was to talk a little bit about my own personal struggles. And we can talk a little further, but really the point is, for all of those friends, family members, enemies, acquaintances out there that would say to somebody, just fucking get over it. Well, they probably don't say it that way, or just get over it. No, there's a lot more that needs to be done to help a person. It's not just getting over it. It's more of a little bit of understanding and then finding a way to go forward from there. Now, personally, I've had my ups and downs. We all have our ups and downs. And really, we need to stop. I mean, it's getting to the point where, yeah, everybody talks about, and with social media now, and with the way media is in general, how we're going to go forth, and how somebody who thinks they know, if they don't personally suffer it because they've seen a friend, family member, or acquaintance suffer from it, they think they know. But it's not about necessarily understanding and putting yourself in the shoes of another person. It's just simply being there for that other person and understanding that things need support in a unique way. And to end this soapbox episode, please, for the love of all of us out there suffering with certain issues, we can't just get over it. BB out.